At Château Tanunda, we make a couple of wines under the Noble Baron series. There's a Cabernet Sauvignon and there's a Shiraz. And for the Noble Baron wines, it really comes down to individual site selection for both the Shiraz and for the Cabernet. At the Chateau, we're receiving numerous very small parcels of Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon from selected growers across the district, but it's really looking for those blocks that are uniquely expressive of their terroir. They're very, very low cropped, the berries are very small, the fruit is intensely flavoured, and it's from these kind of parcels that we'll be looking to select out the best barrels in the best years only that will become the Noble Baron. Now, if I think about the 2008 Noble Baron Shiraz, like all great Noble Baron wines out of the Chateau, it's basically a jigsaw puzzle and it's made up of component pieces. Each piece is a unique individual vineyard that brings its own character to the final blend. Now, all of these pieces are fermented individually in little fermenters like this. They're basket pressed through the basket press behind me. They're matured in barrels as individual pieces, and then after maturation, maybe 18 months down the track, the final assembly of the puzzle comes together. Now, these four pieces, the first is Stonewell. Stonewell is the spine of the wine, it's the backbone, it's got the musculature, it's got the grip, and it's got the feel. There's a little bit of Krondorf in there, which brings some aromatics, as does the little piece from Ebenezer, which has a slightly different set of aromatics, but they're very complementary. And finally, the last little piece is about 5% from the Eden Valley, and what that brings to the final blend is a little bit of floral lift and a little bit of elegance and finesse to that quite robust style of wine. We talked briefly about barrel maturation. Let's do it in more detail. Two major things for the Noble Baron Shiraz. First, new oak versus old oak. New oak has more flavour, older oak has less flavour, but is very good for maturing the wine. So there's a percentage of new barrels to bring the oak component in, but the majority of them are a little bit older, so they're not going to overpower the Shiraz. Secondly, French versus American oak. French is very spicy. It's going to give this wonderful lift to the wine, but it's not as aggressive as the American oak, which is a lot more domineering coconut and vanillin. So ultimately, when we put the final blend together, the old and the new, the French and the American, is going to help this very robust Shiraz to be gently framed in oak and not overpowered. (2008) Noble Baron Shiraz. To me, it's got all the hallmarks of a great Barossa Shiraz. What are they? Cherries and plums, coffee, chocolate, spice, and a little twist of pepper. They're the regional varietal characters of Shiraz which really show up well in this wine. It's got a little touch of oak. It's not overly controlled by the oak. It's very complementary. The tannin is very, very long, very fine, very soft. It's got great concentration. 2008 was a very good year for Barossa Shiraz. It was a very small crop year, which is renowned for its intensity of fruit. And the last thing is, what are we going to eat with it? A piece of roast meat, a small piece of aged cheese, or a pasta dish with a very rich tomato and garlic based sauce. I think it'd be a great accompaniment to this wine.